Hi, my name is Eva Sherman. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. My studio is Grand River Beads. I'm mostly a metalsmith, but every once in a while I like to play with some other art products. So I've discovered polymer clay, and specifically a technique called mokume gane, which is a derivative of a Japanese metalworking technique. And polymer clay, being very soft and pliable, is really adaptable to this technique. So I'm going to show you how to make this these very organic designs, and we're going to use pre-made channels. And there's a bunch of these available on the market, so you can make cuffs, earrings, rings, whatever you want. What I've got here is 4 pieces of preconditioned clay. The most important thing, I guess, is to use contrasting colors. So I'm going to put these 2 colors together, and then first thing we'll do is we'll roll them together. And since I'm making a cuff, I want a long, thin piece. So I'm going to put this through my roller, and I'm going to marry these 2 pieces. And then we'll do the same thing for the next 2. And now we're going to put the 4 pieces together, and we're going to marry these 4 pieces. So I now have 4 layers, but I'm going to need 16. So first thing I'm going to do is make a cut down the middle, and then we'll put them together in the same order. And then I'm going to cut again down the middle. So if your math is good, you know that I will now have 16 layers. And then we will roll these together and get all the bubbles out from in between. And now this is the fun part. You get to manipulate the clay with any tool that you want. We've got punching tools, we've got wave making tools. And we've got little rollers we can use. And being that it's a very soft plastic, you can push this back together, but the manipulation is going to remain. And then I'm going to do this from the other side as well. And I'm just doing this very randomly. There's no real thought or design intent here. And then we'll just roll this again. And now I'm going to put it into my channel. So this is just a pre-made channel. And as I'm doing it, I'm going to push it down into the channel. And I like to put a piece of blue painter's tape on the edge of any cutting edge so that I don't pick it up by the wrong end and cut myself, which I've learned the hard way. Now sometimes when it's in here, I'll do just a little bit more manipulation. Too much manipulation ends up being a little bit too busy. And then we'll take our little slicer and we'll start, and you want to be careful that you don't cut into your finger. And all I'm doing is cutting around the edge of the channel. All right. And I'm being very careful to not slice a finger off. So as you can imagine, this works in pendants very nicely. There's some ring components that have little channels that you can set the clay into. Okay, let's just do just a little bit more manipulation. And this clay will stay soft until it's cooked. So you don't have to worry about this. You can put this clay away. I usually wrap it in saran wrap, and I can pick it up and play another day. So now I'm going to take my little slicer, and I'm going to start I'm using the edge of the channel as a guide for my cutter. And you can kind of see a little bit of design happening there. And the great thing about this is if you don't like it, it's very easy to redo. And bake your polymer clay in the toaster oven following the manufacturer's instructions. Apparently where I cut, none of the white really came through. So, get some of this extra off of here. But what do you think? It's kind of a cool pattern. Okay, so let's pretend it's all cleaned up. At this point, we're going to put it into the kiln. You're going to follow manufacturing instructions for the length of time to cook it. And then once it comes out, like I said earlier, it becomes sort of a hard plastic. If you haven't cleaned it up really well, you can still, at that point, let's look at one of these ones that I haven't finished. I like to use varying sizes of buffing blocks, and so any of the plastic that is sticking up above the channel, I can kind of get all that excess off. You can also use there's some other attachments that you can use to some of your mechanical devices that will work as well. But if you just use varying grades, varying grits of buffers or sandpaper, you can get this nice and shiny. And then the last thing that I do is if you like a matte look, you can kind of leave it the way that it is. But if you like it a little bit shiny, like this one, for instance, all I did was put a little bit of floor wax on there, let it dry and buff it, and it gives it a little bit of a shinier look. And now let's take a look at some of the other variations. This is a bead that I've put some different colors of the polymer clay in, and this one I have finished it with a little bit of floor wax, so that gives it just a little bit of a shinier look. And then of course there are earrings and rings, and you can use all different colors of polymer clay. My suggestion is that you use colors that contrast and complement each other nicely. So on the bangles, I've got some in the black and white and gray, and one of them has the wax finish on it, and the other one I've just left it with the matte finish. And then I did one set with fall colors. Also, one of them has the wax finish and one of them has the matte finish. And then there's a couple of rings that I think it makes a really nice cabochon type component in a ring. And then the bezels, I've actually added some resin on the top of it to give it a little bit of extra polish. And so this is my demo for mokume gane using a pre-made channel component, and thank you for watching.